A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, Lao Tzu. My friends, just that first step, that commitment of 10 to 15 minutes each and every day learning how to follow the stock charts. And I call out over and over again, look at these easy movements on the S&P 500 so many times. If you were paying attention to what's going on with the volume, what's going on with the Heikin-Ashi candlesticks and your trend lines, you would find a good jumping in spot. You set your profit and loss band based upon the ATR, 14-period ATR on this 2-day chart, and then you let it go. You practice trade it. You see if you can make it work. And when you have a good chart, you can. Prove it to yourself. When you start getting good with your paper trades, that's when I say go in and start doing the fractional trades, a smaller amount, a fraction. If your online broker allows you to do that, $100 on the S&P, or on maybe just one share of TLT, or of course gold, again about a half a share of that. What happens if you lose 2%? It's $2. What happens if you lose 20%? It's $20. Please, whatever you do, we're not a stock calling service. We're an education firm. Please don't go out and start spending real money and losing your backside. And just because the market's going up and you make one successful trade or small group of trades doesn't mean you've mastered these markets. Anybody who's been in the markets long enough can tell you that this does not happen overnight. But if you will be diligent, if you will learn how to control your losses, how to control your risk with some of the common sense stuff we teach you, sky's the limit. And once you get good at this, you know what that means? You'll make up for all the time you ever spent. So spend the time, learn how to do it. Learn how to use volume. Learn how to use the Heikin-Ashi candlesticks, how to use these trend lines, which we just updated, by the way. We'll jump into the S&P 500 right now. You can see that this weekly trend, we jumped in all the way back here. So you've watched this continue to move up. We'll see this week the high so far as we start 413.96 last week, 415.09. So we haven't hit that high from last week yet. We have green volume that you can see here. Also green volume on the 2-day. Now that represents Friday and Monday, so that candle is finished drawing. It's above the weekly trend line, which is good to see, as is the 2-day, and things are moving in the right direction, so we will keep an eye on it. The nice thing about updating our weekly trend line, comparing the trend lines here, if you've taken that trend line training, you understand that when price is above that, it again continues to show us that things are moving in the direction of the weekly trend line. Now, as trends get weaker, and we'll show you that on some of these other charts, then the penetrations can tell you even more when they start occurring. So we're up 0.36% for the day on the S&P, not nearly that much on the NASDAQ 100. We can see a real period of slowing here. Do you see the sideways slide on the weekly chart? Particularly pronounced on the half-day chart. You can see it on the 2-day and even on the weekly, where we peaked up here 3 weeks ago, and we're continuing to not go much higher, or really hardly any higher at all. So we can see also how our trend line had been going up at a steeper angle and then has slowly flattened. So we'll be watching. We had negative volume on there last week. And again, we've talked several times about why we use the volume indicator based on the closing price of the prior move to help us at least see red there. We are green on the volume on the other 2 charts. So we will keep an eye on things, but look at this indecision. 1, 2, 3, 4 spinning tops as far as 8 days of movement. Indecision on the 2-day chart. So we will keep an eye on that. Plenty of those also on the half day, and you can see how flat the trend line has gotten. So we'll wait, watch, and see when the Qs rolls over. we'll be here for it, or if indeed it turns back around and is just digesting gains and continues to move up, we'll be there for that too. We're still green on the weekly chart, so we have not pulled anything for a down move yet. However, check out 20-year bonds. Now, the best we could do is try to connect some candle we could get a reading from here on the 2-day chart. I'll show you what happens if we try to connect these candles here. What do we get? We just get a flat line that's good for nobody. So we're doing what we can using the 2-day chart to try to get something that we can somehow track. So I'm hopeful that that will work for us. I'll show you also what happens if I try to put it on this. Look what happens. We just get a straight. That doesn't help us at all either. So what I've basically done is put it on the 2-day candle from back on the 5th to this one as we move forward in time with a new candle forming. Tomorrow we'll start a new candle on the 2-day. We'll be able to get a better trend line, but I at least want to be able to tell myself when I look that yes, market is red and heading down. Now this could change as we get into Wednesday if all of a sudden bonds pound up, but you can see how they've been going down since that red candle initiated back on the 10th of April. One green since then on Thursday the 13th, and then of course Friday and Monday down. So bonds rolling over at this point. What about gold? Well, gold's slowing down this week so far. And again, down oh, and by the way, bonds were down 1.19%. Gold down 0.45%. We did put the trend line in here, connected it to where it is this week. We can see the 2 days above it, half days right on it after 2 days of down movement in gold, strong down movement. So we will pay attention, see if and when this half-day chart penetrates, or maybe it'll bounce off, and what happens with the 2-day as we move along. We did peak last week and aren't making those highs yet, so we'll see where things go. Now, Bitcoin is the biggest downer for the day, 2.93%. Not a big down move in Bitcoin, but again, we can see where Bitcoin's popped up, slid sideways, popped up, and sort of is in that sideways slide at this moment. It is a green candle that's forming, volume still green on the weekly chart. We'll see how this week continues to move along. That is where we are, folks. We always appreciate you being with us. We always love to hear from you. You got questions, problems, concerns, reach out to me, cw@chartingwealth.com. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters. Patreon members, thank you for your support. We appreciate you.